Hey guys, my name is Priscilla Elias and today I'll talk about the gear you should have as a wedding photographer. I've been shooting weddings for about 2 years now, and during that period of time I did about maybe 25, 30 weddings. I'm not sure, but enough to be able to tell you what gear you should definitely have as a wedding photographer. Cameras. Yeah, you heard me right. I said cameras in plural. The reason for that is simple. When you're shooting a wedding, you're simply covering one of the most important days of the couple's life. They usually spend a whole year planning that event. They put a lot of effort, money, thoughts, and love into that. If they hire you as their wedding photographer, you want to make sure you'll be able to cover that moment, no matter what. So having 2 cameras is a must for weddings, and you won't see my 2 cameras here because I'm shooting with one of them. But the point is, if one of your cameras stops working, you have to have a second one ready to go and to use instead. My main camera is the 5D Mark IV and my second camera is the Canon 80D. Some photographers like to use both cameras at the same time, usually with the prime lens in one and with the zoom lens in other, or both with prime lenses with different focal lengths. It is not my case though. I like to shoot with one camera only. So what I do is I have my second camera absolutely ready to go. That way, in case something happens with my main camera, I just need to grab my second camera, turn it on, and it's there with a full battery, clean SD card inserted, and settings pretty much ready to go. Another important thing I'd say about cameras is, if you didn't buy your camera yet, try going for a camera that has 2 card slots and use the dual card slot. Have your photos recorded to 2 cards at the same time. That way, even if you have one of your cards broken, you still have the other one as a backup. I never had a problem with losing images from a card, but it can happen, so I think it is crucial to be prepared. Have your data recorded in 2 simultaneous slots. Because I shoot with one camera only, my favorite lens, and the one I use for about 80% of the wedding day, is the 22-70 2.8, which by the way is the lens I'm using right now to record this video. And unfortunately, I don't have enough money to have a second one just to show you while I do this video. But anyway, I absolutely recommend that lens for anyone shooting weddings, especially, but not only, if you're shooting with a unique camera. The 22-70 gives you enough range to cover pretty much anything you need, from big churches and groups of people to intimate moments and closer looks. It is definitely my #1 lens when it comes to weddings. I always use it 95% of the time, if not 100%, during the ceremony, and I could go with it for the rest of the day without missing pretty much anything if it was the only lens I had. If you need one lens to start with, in my opinion, this is the one. Then, of course, there are some other specific lenses I use for specific moments, such as the 16-35mm 2.8. I use it when I want to take shots of an entire place that is too big to be covered with a 24-70, or when I want to emphasize something, bringing the lens real close to the subject and still being able to see what's happening around them, for example. And this lens, especially if used in 16mm, distorts things a lot. So you have to be careful on how, when to use it. It can be super cool. I really love it, but it's a more specific lens. I also use my 50mm 1.4 for 2 reasons: the aperture and the weight. As it is a 1.4, it gives me a very shallow depth of field when shooting outdoors, even though I tend not to go lower than 1.8, especially when shooting couples, to guarantee I'll get them both in focus. And also when shooting indoors, this wide open aperture helps me to get nice shots when I do not want or cannot use the flash. Besides that, I tend to use it for quite a while, especially during portraits and during the party, because it is a very light lens. After 8 hours shooting with a 5D Mark IV, 24 to 70 millimeter lens and an external flash mounted to your camera, being able to use a lighter lens for a while is very relieving to me. After about 8 hours carrying my camera around, my neck starts cracking and I just try using my 50 millimeter a little bit more so I can rest a little from the weight that doesn't hurt you in the beginning, but surely can be felt after a couple of hours shooting non-stop. And finally, I always take my 100 millimeter 2.8 macro with me. The only moment I use this lens though is for the ring shot. As it is a macro lens, it is perfect for shooting details from the ring, showing the couple's names on it, and maybe even the bride's jewelry. But this is not a must-have lens for weddings. I think it's a plus. So if you're starting, I truly believe you will do great starting with the 24 to 70 millimeter. This is extremely important. Don't even think of shooting a wedding without having an external flash, unless it's going to be outdoors during the day. A flash can save you in so many ways and occasions. You will thank me for listening to me, especially if you're not shooting with a prime lens that would be, I don't know, 1.2, 1.4, 1.8 aperture. With a 24 to 70 millimeter 2.8, for example, if you're inside a church or if you're shooting the bridal party, you will definitely want to have a flash mounted to your camera the whole time. That is what I do. I try to avoid using the flash for as long as I can, but I don't like to go too high on my ISO and have grain on my photos. So I always have my Canon 600EX2 RT mounted to the hot shoe of my camera, and if I need some extra light, I can just point it to the ceiling or to a wall with a diffuser like this, and I'll get some extra light created for my shots, you know? Oh, and here I'd say play safe and have 2 flashes as well. If your flash stops working and the venue doesn't have enough light, you might be in big trouble. But don't worry, you don't need to have another $500 flash as a second flash. As a matter of fact, you're better off with 2 cheap flashes than with 1 expensive flash. So if you're tight on budget, make some research on the Yongnuo YN600EX RT. It's an awesome flash. I have that flash as a second flash, and if you want to know more about it compared to the Canon, I have a video talking about that in the link that will be up here and also in the description. So it should help you decide. Extra batteries and charger. If I'm doing an 8-hour wedding with my 5D Mark IV, I'll never use more than 2 batteries. If I do a 12-hour wedding, I might end up using 2 full batteries and start a 3rd one. But I really suggest you won't shoot a wedding without having at least 2 batteries. If you only have 2, when you have that first one drilled, whenever you have a minute, get your charger and leave it charging somewhere in case you need a 3rd one. Don't even think about shooting an 8-hour wedding with a unique battery. It might not end up well. Have in mind that on a wedding day, you will make a lot of photos. So please don't go shoot a wedding with one 64GB card. For a 12-hour wedding, I usually get 2 cards of 64 gigas pretty much full, which means I have 2 SD full cards plus 2 compact cards. That is the card I use for the second slot of my Canon 5D Mark IV. I always shoot RAW in medium size, and I can take about 1,300 photos with one 64GB card with that size of file. Also, I always have another 2 or 3 extra cards with me in case I need more space or in case one of the cards get corrupted, which is something that has already happened to me before. I'm sorry, this looks like crap already. It's pretty old, but what matters is inside. In case your lens gets dirty or wet, you need to be prepared. So I always keep this cleaning kit with me. Before each wedding, I always check my lenses and clean them up entirely, but I always take at least a cleaning cloth, this, and this with me, so I can deal with any dirt in case of an emergency. The next important thing is not here, but it is just as important. When you shoot weddings, especially long ones, when you start early in the morning, you will want to keep hydrated and fed. Otherwise, by the end of the ceremony, you might be out of energy already. So keep some water or isotonic drinks with you. Keep some snacks such as grains, fruits, and cereal bars that are easy to eat, and whenever you have some free time, fuel up. Usually the couple will offer you dinner, but really I wouldn't rely on that. For one of the first weddings I did as a second photographer, I did not take any food and the couple ended up not offering us food. So we started working at around 10 a.m. and the wedding ended at around 9 p.m. And during the whole day, all we had was a piece of chocolate and we were completely exhausted and out of energy by the end of the day. We really hardly made it. So keep in mind, you will walk a lot, you won't have much free time to eat until dinner, and you need to have food that you can easily grab and eat on the go when your energy starts to go down. It is a must for weddings and I strongly recommend it. Then there are some other small things I always take with me, such as an adapter. You never know how your outlet's going to be, so if you need to use a charger, for example, you will want to have an adapter. I always take my radio flashes as well. I don't think it's a must-have if you're starting out, but it's nice in case you want to use your flashes off camera, so you can stick it to your camera and to your flash and just put your flash somewhere else that's not mounted in your camera and be a little bit more creative with your light. And besides this, I also always take extra batteries for my flash and for the radio transmitters of my flash. So this is very important. Don't ever forget this, because if your battery is over, then you're done as well. One more thing I don't take with me for my weddings, but I use it a lot for them, is an external HD for the backup. Whenever I get back from a wedding, the first thing I do, even before I take a shower, is to back up my files to an external HD. Along with that, I always upload the files also to the cloud. I use Google Drive, but you can use any service you prefer. That way, I have a physical copy of the files and I also have a virtual one. Plus, as I said, I always record my photos to two simultaneous cards. I usually do not delete the photos from at least one of them before I get the photos edited and delivered to my client, as an extra safety measure. That way, until I deliver the photos, I have 3 copies of the photos on my SD card, on my external HD, and also on the cloud. Then after I deliver them, then I just keep the photos to my external HD and to the cloud for another 2 to 3 years in RAW and forever in HD JPEG. Just a second. Cleaning up to make some room. Well, this might sound obvious and might sound like unnecessary to be talked about, but I ended up deciding to talk about this because recently I got a bag that to me was a lifesaver. Or maybe I should say a back saver. I used to use a bag that was a good bag, but that I just need to carry at my back. But the point is, I usually go to my weddings using public transport, and if that's your case, then having a bag on wheels might prevent you from ending up having painkillers from carrying your heavy bag with all of your heavy equipment in it. Because yeah, you're gonna be all around with it. You're gonna be going back and forth all day and all throughout the venue. So you have to have something that is just easy for you to carry around. So ever since I got this bag, I never had a problem with that anymore. And of course, make some research about how to get to the wedding venue and about the wedding venue itself, because even though this bag has the back straps as well, I can take them out here. I can take them out here and use them at my back. But if I end up having to use this at my back all day long, it might not be the best choice because it's a pretty heavy bag to carry like that. But if you can just roll it on the floor most of the time, then this is the bag to go. Here in Stockholm, the public transport is very good and the places are usually very accessible, even when I get the train to travel around Sweden. So in 90% of the cases, this bag worked perfectly for me. If that's also the case in your region, then I strongly recommend the Lowepro Runner RL X450. If you want to take a look at it, the link for it will be in the description of this video. As a matter of fact, if you want to do some research, or even if you want to buy any of the items I just talked about in this video, I will have the link for all of them here in my description, so just feel free to check them out. If you end up buying any items through my links, you will not have to pay anything extra to it, but I will get a commission from Amazon to keep running this channel with weekly fresh new content for you, so that will be highly appreciated. Also, it will be highly appreciated if you like this video, subscribe to this channel and click the little bell down here so you will be notified when I come up with new content. That would also help me a whole lot, so yeah, please do it. I hope you like this video. I hope it helps you to make some wise choices about the gear you should have to shoot your weddings, and I thank you so much for watching me up to the end. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!